to the Black Knight Games podcast. This is a really sad and depressing podcast.
So sad.
We're emotional damage abound.
We have so much damage.
Emotional damage abound. My name is Jeff. Joining me this week is Josh.
Ayo.
We have to talk about sad things.
We
We can't, unless Josh wants us to get out of like a positive topic right away, which is going to be like, hey, this is the game I played this week, and me, it's going to be Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Oh, you play that? That's cool.
I've been, so I beat the, okay, so I got a minor complaint.
Yeah,
And now I have more complaints.
of course.
Because Patrick Bovine was like, Ninja Gaiden 2 is better than Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I'm like, oh. And they're like, yeah, so Ninja Gaiden 2, they couldn't up the enemy count. And I'm like, oh. Oh, so there's more enemy. You're supposed to have more enemies on the screen. Okay, that makes sense. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Huh. That sucks.
Huh.
Oh, well.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, but like, what instead? We're going to talk about the bad things that happened this week. We have a new segment, Josh.
Oh boy.
Hold on, let me look it up. I had something here for this.
I mean, I also played a video game this week.
Well, we're going to talk about the layoffs
Oh, yes.
this week. There was a layoff tracker that I found.
It's like
Yes, there it is.
the deaths on Black Friday.
Yeah, very much.
Ah.
So there has been a total of 700 layoffs this month, of which has included Phoenix Labs, which is more than about 50 people lost their jobs.
Cool.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Ubisoft laid off a bunch of people. Ubisoft laid off their entire Star Wars Outlaws development studio.
Man.
So that game really is shaping up to be the worst Star Wars game of all time. It is amazing how bad that game is. They let off a bunch of people. Piranha Games at the beginning of the month. And then there was our favorite company of the whole wide world. Josh loves this company with a amazing passion. He loves their new release too. Don't you, Josh?
Is it EA?
It might be a company that I work for.
Is it a company that started for medical industry before the turn of video games?
It is.
Oh.
Maker of one of the best games ever made, Mass Effect 2.
Mass Effect 1.
Mass Effect 1. The entire Mass Effect trilogy, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. The teacher who was there, one of the 15, original developer of Baldur's Gate, Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2. BioWare. Shuttered is doing massive restructuring.
Oh boy.
And EA came out and certifiably said that Dragon Age Veilguard was a flop.
You know, with all these companies getting bigger and bigger and they're trying to do these giant AAA titles and they're just failing left and right and center, it makes you wonder, hey, why won't one of these companies, instead of, making these giant fucking monumental trash fires, they go like, hey, we have like 500 people employed here. Why don't we chop them up into like groups of 50 and they all make their own video games?
That would be smart. But,
Yeah.
that would require them in order to actually hire people who actually like give a shit and want to learn and them to maintain their experts who aren't fucking fleeing the industry because it's a fucking dumpster fire full of fucking political correctness and bullshit.
Because for fuck's sake, like, doesn't
You got to keep in mind that, like, as people grow older, they tend to vote conservative. And with the people who come into the industry, they tend to be like the people who are currently in the industry. They tend to be, if you vote conservative, you deserve to go to fucking prison and be hanged.
I mean, it's getting there.
Yeah,
it's getting there.
Okay. Well, it's getting there in the sense of like eventually we're going to have problems. And we should all probably take a step back.
Oh, freaking hell.
Yeah, it's like if you cannot coexist with somebody who has a different opinion than you, there's a problem. I'm just going to say that. But so basically, like we're basically burning ourselves alive. And the best part is like people like you, Josh, you're 100% right. That would be the smartest idea in the whole wide world.
Yep.
Taking things that people, instead of looking at Twitter and bitching about like how Elden Ring does not have a quest log, fucking actually fixing your making an actual half decent video game, would be very smart. Instead, we end up with this bullshit where we have about probably close to 185 people being out of a job.
Cool.
We also found out there was also some very high-profile people laid off from BioWare, which is weird because you don't normally see like. Okay,
I was gonna say, yeah, you don't see the higher ups get fucking laid off.
You don't normally see writers actively being celebrated that they're no longer on a project or at a studio.
Uh-huh.
And you're sitting there, and it's funny because, like, you work with these people, and you're like, I worked with some of these people, and I'm like, oh, they're no longer there. Oh. I wonder what he said to get fucking this. Or was it literally just EA going, you fucking cost us this much money. You fucking piece of shit.
I mean, I can just see. I mean, EA is not even saying that. It's just looking at like who's got paid what, and they're going, all right, cut that.
It was very clear. Like they fired all of their writers.
Yeah,
and you're like. Because that has been one of the things that like has really hindered BioWare games in the past like couple of years.
Yeah,
is like you're like the gameplay is fine, I'm okay with it, but the writing is shit.
Yep.
And you're like, you look at Anthem, and you're like, the problem with Anthem was like they were like, oh well, we can't get content out fast enough, and you're like, okay, this is a problem. This is a real big problem.
I mean, it wasn't the problem. No, actually, I'm thinking of another video game, but still, it was just
Andromeda.
Yeah,
has a real big problem with that.
I was just thinking of like it was just more management than it is actual development, because it's like, oh, you're just mismanaging everything you can.
There was about like four members of management. I'll say that much. That I had to deal with.
That's sounds
indirectly.
Sounds like fun.
Well, so I had my boss, who was my direct boss. I had the biometrics team, the tools team,
okay,
essentially, who helped maintain all of our tools, all of our stuff, and they had their own separate manager, who was great. My manager was great. There was a QA manager, and then there was there was Gary, who was basically the head of the entire studio.
Okay.
And you would basically be like, oh, like that's interesting, blah, 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 blah. Versus like Navigator fucking Games, which was like, hey, Jeff, you have to deal with like 8 people who are all superior than you and can fire you at a moment's notice. And you're like, what do you mean? And it's like, yeah, so Aaron's your boss. Then you have Nick, who is Aaron's boss. Then you have Chantel and I think Keegan, who are the creative directors who could fire you at a moment's notice.
They're boss's boss, boss. And
then you have Will, who's like the head. So that's like right there. That's like 6 people.
Huh.
Who like I dealt with on a daily basis and did not get fired from.
Huh.
But no, it's like it's really interesting because like you're sitting there and you're like I'm sitting here as like I've been gone from BioWare for like close to in April it's going to be 3 years.
Huh.
And it's like for me it's like oh I'm seeing people who've been there for like 25 30 years and you're like 25 10 years. Some people I've talked to and they're like yeah, I'm no longer working at the studio. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I'm going to do. I thought this was a surefire thing. And you're sitting there and you're like, I want to tell you what happened. But I don't want to be that guy because I know that you give a shit. And it's like, and then on the flip side, you're like also sitting there being like, I'm seeing all of these people being celebrated that they lost their job. And it's like, for me, it's like
this is not really the issue of
this is, well, part of it is.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well, I know this person and I know that they're a good person. And then you see the comments that they make on the internet and you're like, maybe you shouldn't have said that. Like, you're like, I understand that you're upset that Orange Man got in, but you just alienated an entire group of people because you lost a political campaign for a country that you're not even in.
Mm-hmm.
That's real good. That's real good motivation there, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip, and then you're like on the flip side, there's like you're watching people who are just like, hey man, I want to be a part. I want to make games. And right now I can't make games. And that really sucks.
Mm.
So I don't know. It's weird seeing them being celebrated that they're no longer at a company. And it's kind of a shitty thing to do, I will say, when you to do that, but at the same time it's like the golden rule exists for a fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
And being a piece of shit does not actually give you the right to kind of act that way. And as for BioWare, like as for Veilguard and stuff like that, hey man, that game was one of the best selling. Hey man, that game was chart topping on like basically like Steam when it came out. And it was one of the best received Western games of 2024. But even then, like when during development, I was like, you had people like me opening our mouth saying, "Guys, this stuff isn't it."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. For I don't know, for all that like. Stuff they probably should have not said, or maybe more tight-lipped or whatever. I mean, at the same time, if whatever political views that the company may have, like something is gonna happen. Like,
oh
yeah. So if sure, I can see that X company will say, you know, Orange Man bad, and I'm like, all right, whatever, just make something good at the end of the day, like.
Well, you can't say any more Orange Man bad.
Are you kidding?
You cannot. If you say Orange Man bad...
Orange Man is still bad.
No. Josh, you misunderstand what I'm saying.
Oh.
If you say Orange Man bad, you're sitting there and telling people that you fucking hate them. And I don't mean to be rude or mean, but Michael Jordan, who is the smarter man than me,
sure.
Okay. When presented with a situation to give his political endorsement to a black congressman running in the United States Senate for Chicago.
Okay.
He sat there and he said, conservatives buy shoes too. So regardless of your political opinion, No, you do not make a political comment, especially when it's somebody who is as volatile and destructive as Donald Trump.
I mean, I think that's also why you would say something.
No, you don't, because regardless of what, if you come out and say Donald Trump is bad, you just lost 50% of your sales. Boom, just like that. If you come out and say Donald Trump is good, you just lost 50% of your sales, like that.
You should.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
You should be neutral to some degree, yeah. But then at the same time, hey, this new guy named Hitler. Hey, he's just got into office and he's really changed. That's
the thing, Josh.
He's doing a lot of things that a lot of people don't seem to agree with, and I don't think he's even in our company doesn't line up with anything that he's doing with. So here's an interesting point, Josh. Is that even during the time when Hitler was around, the same issue was applying back then, except that it was really just concentrated to Germany. Yeah.
Okay. You gotta keep in mind that, like, the Canadians, like, during the Olympics, the one Olympics that existed under Hitler's reign, they basically fucking, like, walked and they were told, oh, you have to salute Hitler. So every single team, except for the Canadians, saluted Hitler. So you have to keep that in mind. Is like during the time, there's a lot of placating that goes around. Now, here's the thing. I will plainly say this. Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody has an asshole. If it's that big of a deal where it's like, hey, man, you have to say something, say it.
Yeah.
But like, but don't sit there and don't expect the consequences.
Or expect zero consequences, because there's going to be something.
If you're going to sit there and say that, like, here's the thing I would do is, like, personally, is like, for one of the games, one of the main characters, he's a very big the way that I want to do it is basically you have dialogue options, and depending on the dialogue options, it basically assigns you to the political compass graph.
Okay.
So it's like, hey, like, you're picking very libertarian choices, and you're being a very much libertarian character. Whereas, like, if you're going, like, very much kind of, like, off left, it's very much, hey, you're being very much, like, you're being very kind of, like, pride and very happy and stuff like that. So the experience is a little bit more tailored to you, per se.
Okay.
Because I hear people when they talk about, like, video games nowadays and they talk about Western games, that's one of the big complaints. It's like there's always the one side, there's never both sides, and that was one of the major complaints with Dragon Age Veilguard, is that you can only take one side.
I see.
Yeah. So, like, my idea is like, hey, but, like, one of the things I want to do is during the trailer, the main character is a Canadian citizen. It's very much evident in, like, his attire. He's a very Canadian kind of character. One of the things I want to do is I want to kind of show very obviously, like, a person basically doing the most evil thing imaginable, which would be burning a flag, and the symbology of that, of, like, that flag burning, but the Canadian flag staying behind it and being fine, relatively fine, I think is a very powerful message of, like, hey, let's break down. Hey, this is very toxic. Let's focus on us being all together, united as a singular front, which currently, I guess this is a segue that you brought up unintentionally to the political bullshit topic.
Shit.
Josh wants to be political.
God damn it. No, I just want everyone to have free healthcare. Fuck you.
Hey, social libertarian. I want the government to not fuck me over. Low taxes and social programs that function barely.
I don't know. I just want them to have the comfort in, like, oh, I'm fucked up in an accident. I'm covered though. I'm completely covered. Yeah, that's what I want.
Much. Yeah. No. So this week, Trump's tariffs came into play. Hooray, hooray. We're all fucked. here up in the Great White North. Canadians are now booing Donald Trump or Americans during hockey games. So the American national anthem plays, they will boo.
Yeah.
Hooray, hooray.
Yeah.
I will say this from the Canadian side. Trudeau is threatening tariffs.
I mean, he says it's going to come into play on Feb 2nd or whatever.
So there's three things that kind of happen. Pierre Poilievre is like, we have to engage in a trade war.
Yeah. We
have to do pit per tat. We have to do something like that. And he basically laid out his entire plan on Twitter.
Oh.
And it's like, say what you want about Pierre Poilievre. He's probably going to be kind of like Daniel Smith, where you're like, man, she does things I like. And then she does things I go, oh God.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of what I'm getting from him. Is like he's like I'm going to be common sense. And you're like, so it's going to be normal, and for like 20 minutes, and then you're going to introduce legislation, and then I'm going to hear nothing but reading for the next 40 hours. Great, fantastic! I can't wait. But Trudeau's still our prime minister, unfortunately. So he basically was like, "Hey, we're going to do tariffs."
I have
no idea if that affects oil.
Yeah,
which negatively affects us.
Yeah, tariffs in general will just affect the people who are trying to buy it at all.
So the thing with Canada is that like Trump, the main reason why Trump is like there's a tariff is because he wants a tariff for things going in to, or things going, I think it's things going out of the country and things going into the country. Which basically means that like the thing that Canada is basically used for by the United States, because let's not sugarcoat this, we're essentially a vassal state. He basically is sugarcoating our resources going in, and then and then midway through like his signing of the tariff, he goes, I have no idea though if I'm going to include Canadian oil or not. And you're like, so Daniel Smith, the only fucking competent fucking premier apparently, because she's the only one who fucking went to his inauguration and actually talked to the fucking man, is saying they're going, oh thank God, maybe this might have worked. Maybe me talking to literal, and I'll say this with quotation marks, Hitler, might have saved my province. As long as the rest of the government of Canada does not fuck me in the ass, which they're seeming really, really competent on doing.
How does God blight Jeff this week? The government is doing shit again.
Pretty much.
Yep.
You had a person recently today, they fucking hanged themselves under the trans flag.
Yeah.
That was really interesting.
Huh.
You had Kash Patel, Josh, do you know who Kash Patel is?
This is the first time I heard this name.
Okay, Kash Patel is basically the funniest. He's one of the funniest guys ever.
Okay.
So basically, during the first Trump administration, he worked on the DOJ.
Okay.
And he was like, he's basically like tasked with like making sure the country runs. And to his credit, he did a job. He could have done better,
right?
But he writes a book. But after he leaves, he writes a book called Government Gangsters.
Huh.
And the Government Gangsters, he basically describes his experience working under the Trump administration, and he describes like all of the things that happened under it and all of the people, and he writes basically all of these names down in a book. And basically explains, this is the crime I saw, this is what I saw, this is how it happened, yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
So they just did this man's confirmation hearing. And they found a really interesting FBI email referring to something called Arctic Frost. And the government basically disclosed this email, and they're like, hey, the FBI was literally trying to throw Donald Trump behind bars since 2016.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, and it's like, hold on, why was the FBI doing that? And they're like, well, because he was bad. And it's like, before he was elected, he was bad, eh? like it sounds like as if you guys are corrupt as fuck.
Kind of sounds like the USA is going for Civil War II electric boogaloo. Yeah,
which is going to be hilarious as a Canadian.
Oh God.
Because it's just going to, you know what's going to happen.
A mass exodus of people escaping the country while everyone else is fighting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that will happen. And then basically what will happen is like Canada will elect a government. The government will basically be like, no, you cannot do certain things. And then a bunch of people will be like, it will either be the Republicans or the Democrats. Probably, let's be honest, it will be one or the other.
Uh-huh.
And they'll go, well, Canada needs either one of them will say something incredibly stupid, which will be Canada needs liberation, which you see on the American side right now, where they're like, Canada needs liberation. And you're like, no, we don't.
No, we don't.
No,
if anything, we're
just
the most liberal country ever.
If anything, what we need right now is for you to basically put your foot down and tell our government to have an election now. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Okay? Just sit there and just say, no, you're running with the parties you got. Shut up. Period. That's what we need. Okay? And they're going to do something incredibly stupid, and then Canada's going to basically be dragged in. And I guarantee you what will probably happen is Canada will basically go down south, and then we'll find evidence of fucking crimes, and we'll go, holy fucking shit. This ends now, and it will be used to justify more war, more fucking violence, and Canada will basically come out of this thing basically owning the United States. It's going to be great.
I was going to say, if we somehow own USA, would that be better or worse?
As long as their citizens don't vote, I do not care for shit.
Because like more land mass is like, I'm not sure if that's any better, but then at the same time be like, look at all those resources we have now.
Oh shit. We own all these factories, and we own Ford.
Oh man.
And we own Detroit, and we own Nintendo, and we own Microsoft,
and we own California,
we're gonna have to do forest maintenance, guys.
and we own Florida. Oh man, look at all these healthcare benefits you got, guys. Look how good healthcare is. Oh, you're welcome. Fucking hell. Again, like the more I was seeing the news, the more I'm like, oh man, that Deus Ex thing is gonna happen, huh?
Yeah.
We're gonna blow up the Statue of Liberty. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably gonna happen. I guess
it's gonna be one of those funny things where it's like what happened to the Statue of Liberty? Well, the Canadians came.
The Canadians came and blew it the fuck up.
What happened to the White House? Well,
the Canadians came.
They burned it down. Yeah, they burned it down once. No, they burned it down again.
No, they burned it down again.
Again. Why? Oh, they were fucking pissed.
Yeah, they were really pissed.
They just decided to take no prisoners at a certain point.
Yep. Hey, you know what? In World War II, we're known as stormtroopers. In fact, that was the name for stormtroopers in Star Wars. And that's where that name came from. And we're tough motherfuckers.
Canadians are actually very intelligent beings. Turns out.
And then also the reason why we're actually there is also a saying for you don't cross a Canadian or double cross a Canadian in World War II because we got dealt with so much shit that we had no remorse for anyone.
You got to keep in mind, Josh, that us as Canadians, we basically did the best thing imaginable, which is we literally burned down towns, committed war crimes, atrocities beyond most people's wildest imaginations, and yet we're still regarded as as peacekeeping corps and one of the greatest military forces on the planet Earth.
Yeah,
and we're still regarded as very positive. We're celebrated nation worldwide.
I mean, you can
sew a Canadian flag on the back of your jacket, and you'll be recognized in China and Japan as being a relatively decent human being.
Yep. Like I was gonna say, you go to I don't know, any other country, and you say that you're Canadian, and you maybe even showed some proof of that. They go, "Oh, yeah, you're a decent human being." I was like, "Yeah, of course I am."
You have a Canadian passport. You're like, "Yeah, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I want to embrace your culture and stuff like that. And I just want to be here.
Although I just want a cup of coffee. I'm sure I can find one here, right?
Yeah, and like you just look at them and you're like, I just want to hang out with you guys, and I just want to experience your culture. And then you realize 20 minutes later, you're like, huh. This is nice.
Of course.
So yeah.
I would just say there's always one person that will say something stupid, so it'd be like,
well, the funny thing, I'll say this, like here's the funny thing, is like I see a lot of people, they're like, oh well, Canada's not like that great a nation, and like Canada treats everybody really badly, and it's like, and then I see like people on the other side, they're like, oh my god, Canada's like so bad, and you're like, both of you are terrible. Shut up,
bitch.
Both of you are absolute
bitch.
I don't know. I had a conniption this morning with some of the Canadian bullshit that was going on in our city. They were like, so, okay, we have to follow up on something. More political bullshit.
Yeah.
So last week there was a Nazi protest in Jeff's hometown.
No,
which,
there was Nazi.
There was three people.
3 people, 4 Nazis.
But 3 people,
4 Nazis.
How was there 4 Nazis?
No, you're saying there were, okay, so there's people against Nazis, and there was people in the first place who were looking like white supremacist dipshits. So like this happens, and I'm like, this is how clued into the news I was. I was like, oh, browsing Reddit, and it's like, oh, this is happening. I'm like, white supremacy, and it's like on AskCan, and I'm like, white supremacy doesn't really exist. It's not really that important. People are looking for something to be fucking mad about. And I'm like, it's not happening. And then it happened in my own hometown. And I'm like, fuck. Yeah.
And we talked about it, and it appeared on the after show. This week, then there was like 3 people who protested the Nazis. We also had confirmation that arson people were looking into a hate crime unit. So yay, that's good. Can't wait for the information. Can't wait for it to either. It's either going to be one of 2 things. It's either going to be this is clearly committed by another group of people who just want attention and something to protest, or it's going to be, hey, they were actually fucking Nazis. It's one or the other. Usually, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And so they were like, hey, 3 people protested the Nazis in -11 weather.
Yep.
Like mere days afterwards.
Yep.
And then today it was like, hey, we're going to actually, it was like 50 people protesting the Nazis. And you're like, okay, guys, I greatly appreciate what you're doing here. I don't want to be mean. Can we just move on with our lives, please?
Oh, it sounds like you're being mean. Sounds like you're being mean.
I just want to move on with my life.
Oh no!
I don't want to think about this more than I have to, because all of a sudden you're sitting there being like we should embrace, and I'm like, no, like just stop. Let's not embrace the people. Let's not embrace everyone.
I'm afraid you're mean.
Let's look at this in an actual logical sense of like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to focus on these people who sat there on a weekend were being fucking idiots. Let's be honest.
I mean, again, yeah, they're fucking idiots, but at the same time, it's like, I just want to ignore. I just want to pretend it didn't happen. I just want to live in ignorance, and I just want to like go to my shop and buy a fucking TV and talk with my old coworkers and fucking like maybe make a stupid decision that I'm going to regret in like 20 minutes. That's all I want to do. At the same time, the counter protest is going to happen.
Oh yeah, and like at the end of the day, they have the right to do it.
Duh.
I just want to forget that I live in a world that's so fucking stupid.
Duh. I mean, if anything, I want more booting of those dumb shits in the first place.
I just want like,
or if anything, I just want cops to show up and go like, all right, let's go.
No,
I just want that.
Yeah. Like, why didn't that happen?
Yeah. Because, I mean, we have hate speech laws in the first place, so it's like that.
like, can I briefly like talk about that like for like 5 seconds? It's like, why did that not happen?
Because someone didn't bother phoning in.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like I get you have a right to protest and stuff like that. You don't have it's no, just no, just no, because you're gonna cause a bigger issue than you want. And the other thing I'll say is that I'm watching people right now freak out about like Wayne Gretzky fucking talking to Donald Trump. And they're like, oh my God, we have to change Wayne Gretzky dive. It's like, how about no? How about shut the fuck up? How about fucking don't fucking do this? Because you are not the person. You are a narcissistic fuckfag. You're a narcissistic piece of shit who should not be fucking entitled to have their opinions played all over the place. Just shut the fuck up, deal with it like a fucking adult, and don't fucking care. The guy's a fucking legend. He's a great fucking hero. He's the reason Edmonton's on the fucking map. Like, shut up. Because they're like, oh, well, he talked to Donald Trump. We have to condemn. And it's like, no, shut up.
I mean,
okay. Because on the flip side,
it depends on what he talked to Donald Trump about.
He probably was just saying, hey, congratulations, have a good year.
Probably.
He was probably just trying to be courteous. But like, apparently because you talked, it's like the pendulum swings, and you have the Nazis on one side, and then it swings the other side, and it's like, oh my God, you talked to the literal antichrist of my religion that has fucked you over. We must burn you in hell, and it's like, fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Just fuck right off.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's the end of political bullshit. Josh instead though was doing smart things and actually being productive with his time, probably making Blender animations and shit like that.
Trying to. The only thing sucks is that a lot of the tutorials I'm following is like, oh, you got to do this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, all right, it doesn't work. Why is that?
No, I'm not working. Probably permissions issue. Fuck.
No, it's because I switched it to industry mode. and so I have to a little bit of a longer way around to figure out my solutions to my own problems. So
see, this is the reason why you buy Maya.
I mean, just no, I'm too cheap.
Anyways, Josh, you did the funniest thing. You played video games this week. That wasn't Ninja Gaiden Black.
I played a video game and it was hilarious.
I played Ninja Gaiden Black, which is good.
Yep. This week I played RoboQuest, which is basically first-person roguelike. You play as a robot.
I wonder is this game developed by a Chinese dev?
I don't know. I have to go to the store page. Let's see.
Right, I have to play Path of Exile 2.
It's Rise Up Studios. Spell RYE. Hold on. How did you spell that name? Let's go back.
Oh no, this is made by Starbreeze.
Oh yeah, no, this is publisher Starbreeze. So I mean, they help publish it.
Yeah,
Starbreeze, and then developer Rise Up, and it's RYSE. So that they made it, and I mean, I don't want to like quickly sum up the game because the game is actually kind of fun. The only thing that sucks is that I haven't got too deep in the game because I kept dying to bullshit reasons, and I'm like, God, fuck, I shouldn't die to that, and I shouldn't die to this bullet coming over to my left or this thing happening to my right. And also, so far the loop of the game is like get a decent weapon, shoot the enemies coming at you. There's lots of different locations, and it's all just like a randomly roguelike game of get different weapons and all that junk. So far, the most fun I had is I was getting a grenade launcher and also getting a AK. So it was like, oh, this feels like I'm playing Counter-Strike, and this one feels like I'm playing Quake. Like, It was kind of neat. There's also a lot of weapon varieties you can pick up too, because there was a few weapons I was like, oh, you straight up pick up ninja stars and you're hucking ninja stars at things, which was actually a pretty good weapon.
That's cool.
I think there was another weapon that was like shooting projectiles as well, like crossbow.
Okay.
And what else? Oh, melee weapons. You can like upgrade your, like, you have a melee strike, which is like, hit something with the butt of the gun. But you can actually upgrade that to hitting it something with a hammer, which is actually not bad. Surprisingly, like you can kill things.
This game sounds like as if it's like a mix of like Quake, Counter-Strike, Ultra Kill.
Yeah, a little bit. I would say not as over top crazy, but it is definitely like if you can manage the bullet hell that is all the enemies trying to come at you. It's actually like I think it's quite fun. The only thing that sucks is that like I'm still have to get used to it. I'm not used to all the enemies on screen trying to shoot at you all at once, plus like some other bigger enemies doing AoEs at you as you're trying to run out of the circle of those AoEs and stuff like that. So I'm not used to that. What else? Oh, there is a story to the game, but I have not paid attention to it whatsoever. It just feels like your protagonist is just like a girl who's like maybe 18 years old or 20 or something, and it's like, I'm gonna help out the village by finding some weird shit out here, and she finds the robot that was pristine condition. So it's like old what's it, old new? Like it's really old but never been touched, and it's like, wow, I could use this, and you flip on the robot and you play as the robot.
That's cool.
Yeah. So so far it is super neat. I think there is boss fights, but I have to, again, I keep sucking, so I have to try actually get there to get to the boss fights.
You actually have to be good at the game.
I actually have to be good. Damn it! It's not just a bullet hell. It's actually have to be good at shooting.
Oh my god.
It's not like my other Survivor like games I keep playing over and over. Shit.
Fuck.
There's a lot of Survivor likes that are coming out. It's kind of nuts. Like there's what was it? There's the one that's Survivor like that's like Diablo 2. And then there's the Survivor like that is was it the dwarf, the mining game with dwarves? Deep Rock Galactic. Yeah, it's Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. The original Vampire Survivor. What else? I think I got another Survivors game called Survivors at Dawn. I haven't played it yet, and I gotta fuck around with that.
Well, Josh, I have a game that you need to play.
Oh.
You should really play Ninja Gaiden.
I mean, I feel like I should. Although Ninja Gaiden is one of those games where it's not okay. So Devil May Cry is all about looking cool, and then
so this game's about efficiently killing shit.
Yeah, you gotta kill it now. No, kill it now. Yeah.
Because this game is literally like, hey, do you want to murder shit? Go right ahead. The one thing, so I'm going to say, like last week, I basically played the first level. This week, I got a little bit more into it, and I'm going to be honest. I have a couple problems with that game, and then I watched the Castle Super Beast clip on it, and it was like very obvious that this is a problem, and this is a known about problem. Okay, which is they basically need more enemies.
Like enemy types?
Yeah, no, like more enemies on screen.
Oh.
I will take a hit to graphics quality if I can get like 25% more enemies.
I see.
Because you basically end up doing a lot of crazy shit. The enemies are super aggressive. It's great. It's a lot more dynamic combat fighting system. You don't have to be super stylish. So you can just do button mashing, and it's fucking easy and fun. And that game is super gory. There's like an execution mode. It's very obvious that like you're very much super powerful. And then you murder everything, and then they all die, and you're like, fuck. Well, I only got a 55 combo, I want 100. And you're like, damn it.
Restart.
it's like that's the way the game is.
So if I remember correctly, in the clip of them from the podcast, they were talking about the different versions and all the different variations of fucking Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
The best one supposedly is you buy the master. So you buy the master collection, and then you mod one of those games, and that's the better game.
Yeah, that is Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma is apparently the best way in or Black.
Yeah.
Which is it's the mod for, it's not the actual game Black, but it's basically like better enemy counts and stuff like that. And it's like, sure, fine, like whatever. But then you have people like me who are like, the game's fine. It's good. It's a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
And like, for somebody like me, it feels like the people who are like, man, like Ninja Gaiden, and you're like, yeah, I miss this game a lot. I really kind of feel really good about it as a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I play Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones is a slow burn.
Yeah.
Just inherently as a game. And then Dragon Age Origins is also a very slow burn. And then and then this game is just like go to the point where like it feels like the cutscenes are very disconnected from each other.
Okay.
So like I'm like, okay, we have to kill this character, this guy, and it's like, yes, he is a fiend. What's a fiend? The game's like, shut up, just kill shit. Okay,
shut up, just do it,
just murder shit,
run, run,
kill everything that moves.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been, and it's like, okay. I will say this though, that game is literally 2007, the video game.
2007-6, the video
and
game.
It's like looking into a portal and being like, oh, this is what we lost. Because if you look in general, there's actually a really good meme I posted, which explains 10 years of video game development. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Like, that's actually incredibly accurate.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it like goes a little bit beyond that, because it goes like Ocarina of Time. That game came out. I remember that game.
Well, funny enough, I mean, they say, okay, so this meme that you showed the picture of is like 10 years of a millennial, and you see like, going from Super Nintendo to GameCube.
It's Chrono Trigger to GameCube.
Yeah, like Chrono Trigger, and then, sorry, not GameCube, but like N64, and then going to like PS2 and GameCube, and it's like this jumps in quality, and then they got the 10 years of a Zoomer, which is the same image of Fortnite over and over for the past 10 years. And I'm like, well, hold on, you're forgetting that Zoomers also have the internet and can see other things.
You're forgetting that most kids nowadays, they don't play new video games. They play the old video games that you remember.
You know what? Maybe, because here's the thing. None of us, the two people in this room, you and me, we're not Zoomers. We don't know.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we're not Zoomers. So if anything, we just don't know what they're looking at, don't know what they're interested in, don't know anything.
It is incredibly funny, because being a millennial who grew up with the Halo trilogy, because I will talk to like my nephew and my nephew's friends.
Uh-huh.
That comes out really bad. I will like be like hanging out with like my nephew.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, what's going on? Like, we're going to go see a movie or something like that. I'm trying to be a good uncle.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And you're talking to his kid because you're picking his friend, because he's like, oh well, it'd be super nice if, like whatever. Well, it's another $20 if it's okay we can hang out, I guess. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, we're gonna go see this movie, and then you're like talking to them, and they're like, oh man, like I played Halo 3 this weekend, and you're like, I remember when that game came out, and they're like, oh, it must have been so magical, and I was like, it was,
yeah,
it was really magical. And then they're like, so
I know I went to a minute early, so I forget which Halo though. Like
I went to the Halo 4 one, which is like one of the worst.
I think
But, like,
I think I went to the right Halo midnight early, so it must have been
it
like
might have been Halo 3.
yeah, I think it was that one because it was like special magic in the air / I know everyone was hooting and hollering, so
Yeah, so like here's the thing: is like that those games. It's like man, like I remember when those games came out. I remember when Street Fighter 4 came out and Skyrim came out, and like you sit there and you're like, man, like kids don't really get like those new games anymore. There's like one in a generation, and then you kind of are like, yeah, like whatever, and they just tend to play like the old shit. They're like, oh yeah, I'll play a fucking I'll play Halo, I'll play Minecraft, and you're like, okay. I remember when that game came out, and they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, it was fucking crazy.
huh?
And then you're talking to them, and they're like, what about this game? And you're like, oh yeah, Skyrim, 2012 came out. You literally I walked into a store, bought it. It didn't run on my computer with shit. It was terrible.
That was the experience, yep.
And then-
My experience was playing on the Xbox and then realizing that I have terrible sense of direction and also I'm getting overloaded with decisions to do, so I just didn't know what the fuck to do in the game.
Yeah, it's like literally like I'm like, hey man, like I remember that game coming out and like me being like I bought it on disc.
Yep.
I bought it literally on fucking disc.
Yep.
And then it was like came with a fucking map, and I was like, what the fuck?
Dude, I faintly remember old PC box titles, and that used to come with a fuck ton of shit.
I remember buying Brink on PC
Yeah.
and then playing it for 10 minutes and hating it.
Yeah, that was not a very good game.
Yeah, it's like that's the kind of stuff where it's like you're like, man, like it's weird watching like kids like play the games that I played as a kid. Like when I was like literally his age, and then he goes like, and then it's like for the new Pokemon game comes out, and he goes like, oh, can I get the new Pokemon game? And you're like, no. And he's like, why? You're like, I don't want to explain it to you, but I hate you because I'm going to basically give in and buy it for you. And you're like, man, this is just, it just feels wrong. It just feels so wrong.
My here's the funny thing about that. It's like you start, oh no, but I know this is trash. But it's like, here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff we played and it's utter trash and we had no idea.
Sonic the Hedgehog,
Adventure 2. or hell, I remember a couple of titles on the PlayStation. I had no idea they were trash, but I was like, oh, this is new. Whatever. Like
F-Zero Evolution.
Or hell, what was the PlayStation title called? Oh, Felony 1179.
Great.
It was this title is kind of, if you look it up online now, a lot of people kind of trash talk that game. The only reason I remember why this game was so magical in my brain, because I was early in the PlayStation life cycle, and B, when I was playing this game when I was a young little boy, I thought the graphics were amazing, and when you hit into cars, you see the particles fall off the cars, and it's like, holy shit, this is crazy.
I mean, here's the thing: is like this is the funny thing right now is like going back and playing Dragon Age, a game that I never played before.
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy because I'm like playing it, and I'm like, oh fuck, this game's actually really good. Oh fuck, this game's actually really fucking good.
Yeah.
And then you like look at like the new stuff and you're like, I just wish that you guys were not as fucking incompetent and fucking retarded. Like how GW is going to be incompetent and ruin the Astartes 2 and make Primaris Marines the main Marines.
Oh no.
Josh, you're not a Warhammer fan. You're anti-fascism to the T.
I can't. I just think I know the part of that universe is all about being really psycho-fascist. I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, how can anyone breathe under that circumstance? Like, I just feels like it doesn't make any sense.
So okay. Here's the thing. Everyone just assumes everyone who says the Imperium is fascist.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And if you don't know the lore, yeah, basically they are.
Yeah.
the actual lore is like the fucking guy who was supposed to run the Imperium, who would have stopped it, is dead.
I see.
So he's basically dead. He can't do fucking jack shit. He can turn on and off a light switch. That's all he can do. And if he turns off a light switch, basically everyone dies.
I see.
So if he dies, truly, he will be fucking, everyone will die.
Cool.
So basically what ends up happening is that the government basically takes over, and then bureaucracy kind of manifests, and then it becomes a fascist, basically a fascist hellhole.
I see.
But the point of it is that basically it became a highly authoritarian regime because the one person who stopped it is a corpse sitting on a basically a corpse with basically the power to turn on and off the lights. So Astartes 2 is hyper masculine, dripping with awesomeness. It is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And Josh, did you watch Astartes 1?
No. Yes, no.
Okay.
What?
So
no.
Okay. So watch Astartes 1. It is literally, I was watching Sargon and Archcast, Josh's favorite people on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing the video, and he's like, you watch Astartes 1, and it's very sort of like non-emotional, very purposeful moments, very quick, very snappy. Every single movement is very kind of like limited. It's not super flashy. It's just very sort of like boom, boom. It's boom, boom, done. There's an action. There's a reaction. It's very deliberate, and it's very purposeful. There's no fancy bullshit. And then you watch this trailer, and it's like, you watch there was they did the Space Marines 2 Secret Levels episode. And that one is like, you kind of see like what he's talking about. It's fucking awesome, that episode. I would say if you're going to watch Secret Levels, that is the one. If you're going to watch one, watch that one, because it's very deliberate, and it's very purposeful. And it's like, you don't have to be into Warhammer to understand what's going on. You just have to, like, if you play the game, you might understand, okay, this is what this character is doing. But it's very just like deliberate, showcasing kind of very specific things. But that one, like, one of the things that Sargon brought up was, he goes, there's a very purposeful axe swing where literally they're fighting the cultists, and he flips the axe over, and he goes, they would not have done that. He says this original Astartes creator would not have done that if not for, like, because it's not something that he would basically do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you watch that and you're like, okay, I can see it, but it's still fucking awesome. And then you see kind of this one, and it's like, it's made in-house. It's either going to have the entirety of it's going to be that same guy, so it's his stuff. He's either going to be advising on it, or he's the creative director. Please, for the love of God, be the creative director. And you watch it, and it's like, here's a scene from this chapter. And you're like, oh, that's a deep lore cut. And then, like, here's another scene, and it's from this chapter. And you're like, oh. And it's just very purposeful. The animation is very deliberate. There's very much a bang, bang action. You see one of the... And it has, like, stuff from, like, the original trailer of Astartes 2. But it's like, here, I'll show you. We'll watch it together, I guess. And you can be all like, I don't give a shit.
Hold on. I gotta go find the button. Join activity. Okay, got it.
Digital Bones. So, it's a Warhammer Plus series, which, fuck, I hate, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the quote, And then you basically end up getting like 40k as like very much 40k bullshit.
Mm.
And then you see like a Redeemer. That's a Chaos Space Marine. That's, I think, a non-Chaos Space Marine. Space Marine. Nope, that's a Chaos Space Marine.
Ah.
And then you see kind of like what I say, where he like lifts the gun, puts it down, and immediately starts firing. Right?
Beep. Bang it, bang it. Bang it, bang it, bang it, bang it.
And then you see this, like this scene, it's like all really well done. Like everything about this is just like hyper masculine, hyper like really well done bullshit. You see things that like you don't normally see.
Yeah.
There's a fucking dreadnought.
Oh.
And then it's like the end, and you're like, oh fuck. Give me a feature movie of this.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, yeah, like it looks very good.
Like, here's the thing: is like right now GW is like, hey, we're making an Amazon TV series, and it's like, you know that like Amazon's gonna be like, we're making a female space marine. You're like, please no, guys, it's okay. We're gonna make a female space marine. He's like, you could just make her sister battle. It's gonna be great. No, we're gonna make her a female space marine, and everyone's gonna love it. So she's gonna be trans? Yes. You're like, fuck. Whereas like this is like very true to the lore. You're like, oh, thank God. Somebody actually kind of fucking gets it. And it's like I don't want to be like, hey, I don't want to say like the Amazon series is going to be bad. Apparently Henry Cavill's involved in it, and like you hear some of the bullshit that he's in total control, and they're like, he's in total control, and you're like, oh, thank God. So we're not going to get that bullshit. But it's like, short of them doing like the actual like, the show I would actually want them to do is Horse Heresy, and that will be like 20 seasons. And it won't be as good as this. Like, I'm just sorry, it's not going to be as good. But like it's interesting that they're actually finally doing something, and you're like, this is hyper masculine. This is for the boys. This is a show that you can literally watch with your girlfriend, and she's gonna be like, she's gonna put on like her ovaries are gonna drop, and she's gonna have a deeper voice by the end of it. And it's great. I love it. I've seen nothing but positive things about the trailer, other than like those two, Sargon and Arch, and they both have been like, I hope it's good. So.
Well, I found an image online. I'm just going to share with you, not on the...
It's going to be like, Jeff's a fascist.
No, this is why... So there was I saw a Reddit post of like, oh, it turns out Kanye West and his significant, this other person he shows up with is kicked out of the show. And I'm like, I remember this other person. I thought he was like married or not, still married or whatever.
He got divorced from Kim Kardashian, I think.
I see. And so now I'm like, oh, I don't know her, but whatever. They both got kicked out. And then now images are showing up of the reason why. And it's like, oh, well, I know like there's other, artists who show up to the, red carpet with like exposed boob or whatever, but they have a pasty on or something. And it's like, sure, they're trying to be like, eye catching and like rememberable on the catwalk or whatever, because ego, or just trying to, show off figure or whatever. But this is just straight up like, you could have just walked around naked. Like, why are you wearing this invisible not clothing? Like, I don't get it. Just walk naked. Just walk naked at this point. Like, what are you doing? Like, Christ. Yeah, the only thing I wanted to share is that Kanye's West significant other is Bianca Sensory, I think that's her name. Yeah, she was just not wearing anything at all. You can see everything. Like nothing's left to the imagination. Just kind of super dumb. Anyway, I just found that, so I feel like I should share.
I mean,
she's hot, but at the same time, like, why? Why would you do this?
I mean, that's assault. I mean, like, here's the thing: is like if I saw a girl like walking like that around the.
It's 40
we
below.
were approaching the. If we were approaching this, and then something happened, and women suddenly realized, "Hey, I'm not a sex object," and then we went down this other track, and it was very good and prosperous for about 5 minutes, and then now we're going back on that track, and it's like, good God, we never left. Jesus fucking Christ.
As mammals, we never left.
Well, like, here's the thing: it's like I look at that photo and I'm like, bro, that's not even a dress. That's not even a dress.
No, it's like fishnet see-through.
That's not a fucking dress. Yes,
it's fishnet see-through. Like, come on.
That's not a fucking dress.
If anything, this is that literal sentence from Rick and Morty. This is too many. Like, this is what. This is just nudism, but with too many steps. Like, yeah, literally.
This is literal nudism, and then you're sitting there and you're like, why? Why did you do that? Like, what the fuck? And you're like, I want to care.
I don't care. They're stupid rich. They could do stupid things. Get so fucking stupid.
Yeah. It's like, man, this is like, okay, well, we never left the point where we're going to end up with duct tape on girls' vaginas. And that's going to be publicly acceptable. And
I mean,
we're gonna be okay.
It reminds me of the old Newgrounds animation of what was it, like our generation having kids and then finally going to parties of the next generation and seeing what their next generation of clothing of
that's the fucking joke. Now they're not having parties.
Yeah, they have like duct tape on their crotch and maybe on the boobs, and that's it.
And then it ends, and then the stinger is like, remember Nicki Minaj? Oh, she was so nice. And you're like,
yep.
And you're like, yeah. Like, here's the thing I'm realizing is like, that's not actually wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our generation, instead of becoming our parents, have basically fucked up the entire world. Single-handedly, I might add.
Mm.
And we're now in the point where we're like, we're the adults. We've gone from, well, the adults are back in charge to like, well, the adults are back in charge. And it's like, guys, I really just want a millennial president.
Yep.
I really just want somebody competent who's like not going to keel over dead.
Yep. I want someone who's like maybe in their 40s.
I want somebody who's like early 40s, late 30s. And like, that's all I want. And they're like, well, maybe. And you're like, fuck sakes.
Like, God damn it.
And then, well, the best part is like, then you're like talking, you watch like you watch the boomers literally talk about millennials.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, millennials are a failed generation. It's like, really?
Oh, that's what you think?
Really? Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
Yep.
Tell me whose fault that is. And then they're like, did you notice something?
What?
Boomers used to complain online all the fucking time about millennials. They were like, how fucking, you fucking entitled pieces of shit. How fucking dare you? You're all fucking terrible. Blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden inflation caught up with them and they're like, oh, maybe this is a little bit wrong.
Maybe, buying a house for a penny versus buying a house for $10 billion is actually like a bad thing.
Yeah.
And setting up all these fucking rules to make yourself more rich and not think about the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like watching like a bunch of people and like go like, oh man, millennials are so interesting, and they're not. The millennials got so fucked, and it's like, bro, we have been fucked more ways than one. We have watched the fucking world die, and then I still don't think that we're as bad as the generation Gen Z or the generation after us, Gen Alpha, because they're actually fucked.
Oh yeah,
like you hear about like what they went through COVID, and you're like, I feel really sorry for you.
Yep.
I feel really, really sorry. Anyways,
well,
I gotta take a puppy for a walk.
Yeah, should probably end it.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you, everyone. This might be the last Black Mind Games podcast. Depends on if Josh is mad at me or not.
Nah, I don't know.
Yeah. Could be. That's the way that you'll know one of us got a girlfriend and is actually like in a really bad relationship.
Can't do podcast, girlfriend.
No. It's like one of us gets a hold of the other's account, and it's like, so this is not an episode I want to do, but Jeff or Josh got a girlfriend, and he started acting really weird, and started all of a sudden being really weird, and then like weird in another way. And then all of a sudden one day I went over there and he's like fucking wearing like some weird fucked up bullshit, and I just don't know anymore, man. I don't know if I can do the show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we'll know that it's fucked. Thank you everyone for listening to the Black Mind Games podcast. You can listen to us every Thursday at blackmindgames.podbean.com. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app of choice. Thank you. Good night. But you get what I mean.
I've never seen a team so fucking beat. You crumble like paper when you face the heat. What are you, perfect, scared of getting it wrong? Life's not a game where you coast along. You had a hit, a remake so clean, but then you threw it away for a woke machine. The fans, they're shouting, but you just ignore. Stuck in your echo chamber, you don't hear no more. You walk in here like fucking zombies. Sales dropping, you just freeze. Maybe cause you've lost the fire. Stop listening to the ones you admire. Wake up, this is your last shot. Fight for the studio, give it all you've got. Quit if you want, let it all die. Or rise from the ashes and fucking try. The players are waiting, you better hear. They want a story, they'll draw them near. You got one more chance, don't let it slip. Get your head straight or you're gonna trip. You throw excuses pointing fingers at HR. You're not here to fight, you're too focused on scars. While you waste time on nonsense and lies. Real gamers out there saying goodbye. Talking about who's dating who while this company's falling apart right in front of you. Can you even see what you've let go? A chance to make something great, but you're moving slow. I'm not here to sugarcoat while you bitch and whine. We're sinking the boat. It's time to focus, get back to your core, or the studio's shutting its door. Wake up, this is your last shot. Fight for the studio, give it all you've got. Quit if you want, let it all die. Or rise from the ashes and fucking try. The players are waiting, you better hear. They want a story, they'll draw them near. Got one more chance, don't let it slip. Get your head straight or you're gonna trip. They don't care about your next excuse. They don't want your next lame abuse. They just want a game with a story that'll grip. So stop acting like you've already quit. Wake up, this is your last shot. Fight for the studio, give it all you've got. Quit if you want, let it all die. Or rise from the ashes and fucking try. The players are waiting, you better hear. They want a story, they'll draw them near. Got one more chance, don't let it slip. Get your head straight or you're gonna trip. Got one last shot, don't fuck it up. This studio's future is in your cup. Drink it down or spit it out. The time's come, stop all your doubt. Shot, don't fuck it up. The studio's future is in your cup. Drink it down or spit it out. The time's come, stop all your doubt. You want to trip? $80 trip. They have one last shot. Don't fuck it up. They don't want your necks laying apart right in front of you. They don't want one more chance. Don't let it slip. Get your head straight or you're gonna trip.
Okay, I'm recording this hot take that someone when I hear hot take, I think it's a food item, you know? Like, darn. Okay.
A hot take, okay? So I basically was like, I was on Twitter for like 10 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, as you do.
So 10 seconds equals to you shitting on the toilet?
Yeah, well, okay. No, shut up. I have a bowel issue.
Okay, yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, well, you know, who gives a shit about video games? Video games are stupid. Who cares?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden I'm like watching somebody and goes, gamers, Spawn is a significantly better superhero than Black Panther.
Huh.
Who agrees? And I'm like, yeah, Spawn is a better hero than Black Panther. I want a Spawn movie. I want a good Spawn movie.
I don't know. Like, yeah, a good Spawn movie, sure, but I think they're both just entirely different ideology.
Here's my issue with Black Panther as a hero.
Yeah,
I like Black Panther. Black Panther is actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
but like when you're like, oh, he wears a suit and guns don't damage him at all. It's like, okay.
Look, he has first dibs on that that whatever the hell vibranium. Yeah, has first dibs on vibranium. I mean, like, yeah, he's gonna. Yeah,
it's like, man, this would have been cooler if he was like, you know, when you shot him, he was just like a super skilled ninja. And it's like, man, like you shoot him and you're like, oh god, but like the way that vibranium works makes him like completely uninteresting to me as a character. Whereas like fucking Spawn is like literally an anti-hero and literally just like murders dudes.
Yeah, that's about right.
Plus, like, we have that sick, like, HBO animation series, which is, like, pretty good.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
David voicing.
Yeah.
Legendary voice actor Keith David.
The legendary.
Yeah. And, like, here's the thing, is, like, I'm really sad. I really am sad that Chadwick Boseman died. He didn't deserve to die the way he went out. He went out kind of like a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Spawn is, like, just cooler. I'm just going to say that. So that's my comic book hot take. I also have another hot take.
Yeah.
My beautiful, amazing hot take is that, what was it? Oh, my beautiful, amazing hot take is that video games were better in 2007, in 2008.
I think, I don't know. There was also, well, I mean, again, the quote from Giant Bomb, it's always like, now is the best time to play video games.
No. No. Like, now is, okay. I have stopped watching Giant Bomb. I've stopped listening to them.
Oh, I know. I if anything, I haven't seen any content from those guys ever.
So like, here's the thing. It's like Jeff Gerstmann left.
Yeah. I
listened to like Will and Brad do a tech pod because like I like Will Smith. I like Brad Shoemaker.
Yep.
Norm was like great when he was out and tested.
Yep.
And I love that, like, that era of podcasting was amazing.
Yeah.
And now it's like me as an adult, it's like, oh, what do you listen to? I listen to Joe Rogan. I listen to Tim Cast.
I listen to the giant the Castle Super Beast.
I listen to Castle Super Beast like when I have like a long drive.
And also I listen to what was the other one I sometimes Safety Third.
Yeah, well, like I listen to the Jeff Gerstmann show, and it's like, man, you know what really sucks about Giant Bomb?
What?
Is that it was really just those guys.
Yeah.
It was really Ryan Davis, Brad Shoemaker, Jeff Gerstmann, Drew Scanlon, Vinny Caravella. And that was really the show.
Yep.
And then they all leave and they're like, oh, well, we have Giant Bomb. And you're like, I'll just watch Smash JT and he'll be a better journalist anyways because people actually trust him.
Yep.
It's been fun watching him like basically rip my former employer apart. Especially this week, because this week is like, okay, so I'm gonna like fun personal story. So Jeff's new job,
Yeah.
did a survey, of which I probably was the one person who filled out the questions properly. But there was a question on there of like, would you recommend Olympia to, or would you recommend your place of employment to? Fuck, God damn it! Now I have to actually cut some stuff out and do editing and post editing. Fuck.
Oh, well, you did it to yourself.
Yeah. So there was a question of like, would you recommend your place of work to your
Associates.
yeah, would you recommend it to like your friends and family? And it's like, I don't really talk to my friends about like about work,
Yeah.
because most of my friends are either tradesmen,
Yep.
or are like IT help desk.
Yep.
But they're like, I don't want to work. They're like IT help desk, but in a way of like, hey, I am very basic and I wouldn't recommend this person.
So I think the right answer is like, I probably would if I know someone who can fill the position.
That is usually the way I would go. Right. But like, I just started, so I was like, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would.
Yeah, like again, like I think the right answer is like I probably help out if I can find someone who can actually help out.
So this week it was like literally like that. They brought us into a room and they're like, nobody filled that question out right. According to this, everybody's really upset, and it's like, yeah, they're like, we're going to do an investigation. I'm like, oh fuck.
Do you really need to?
Well, like, here's my thing is like this. If this happens, this will be the second job I've had where they were like, you're getting a raise, and I'll be like, what?
Oh, huh. Okay then.
And it's like, you're still in probation, but you're getting a raise. Okay.
I mean, that's kind of the same situation where I was in with my job.
Yeah.
Of like, I was in the probation period, but actually, I think it was one of those like, okay, you're out of probation, you get immediate jump out of it, and also I got another jump out of it because it was like right around the time New Year's were happening or something, something like that, and it was like, oh, big jumps in payment. I'm like, that's good.
So like, here's my thing is like, I was like, hey, like, that's good, that's cool. And then HR comes up to me and they're like, hey, do you want to talk to us this week about like the emotional damage? And I'm like, I just started. I don't know if that'll be useful. So they booked a meeting and I'm going to basically say, yeah, I got put to the test this week and I'm going to tell you something. I leaned against it because the person that I would recommend the position, a job to, and to look into us, I don't want to work with. Very plainly. And like the people who I would recommend looking into Olympia, I don't want to work with. Yeah. Not because they're bad people, but because I know for a fact that like they're going to come in and they're going to be like, oh, you have to cater to me for the next 20, 30 minutes. And I'm going to be like, God, I fucking hate this fucking bullshit. God fucking damn it. And plus, like, the people I would recommend, they're going to come in, they're going to be like, no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like, they're not going to reach out to, if they came up to me and they asked me, I would be like, I'll be honest, like, if my old boss came up to me and was like, how's your new position? Would you recommend it? I would say, yes. And I would happily work under him again.
Mm-hmm.
But like this person, the person I'm thinking of particularly, I basically was like, no, fuck no. Because it's like, I just know that like
Again, I think the answer that this company was looking for was I would definitely...
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I would recommend this job if I can find them.
I would totally not. Yeah, and that's kind of like what I'm going to say is like I'm going to say like I just started, so I'm going to be like, well, at the time of the survey, if I did it, I just started, so I don't know.
Yeah,
and
that's all.
Now that I've been here for a bit, I'll be very upfront and honest of like, yeah, I would recommend you guys in a couple of areas. I would say that like there's room for improvement, but like the room for improvement is that HR issues or is that stability issues?
Mm-hmm.
Is that IT issues? Is that something that is easily fixed? Absolutely. And it's like, okay, well, we can fix it without throwing money around. Kind of an easy solution. Whereas like the thing that like upsets me about like the reason why I would say no, I wouldn't, is because like it's people like that where I'd be like, I don't want to work with you. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I will help you get a job, but I will not like as a friend, I will help you get a job, but I just don't want to work with you because as a friend, I can tell how you are.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that's my little rant this week that I have to now edit down.
Just edit it down to me just saying, I would recommend someone if I knew.
Yeah. Anyways, shall we sync the show? And I have to take my dog for a walk later. Because... Dude, I like walked outside. I was like, oh, it's not that cold. So I go to shopping. I went shopping yesterday. I went to Costco.
Yeah.
Go to Costco. I walk outside and I'm like, oh, it's not that cold. It was minus 23 and I'm like wearing hoodies and jeans. I'm like, fuck.
Yep.
What the fuck is wrong with me?
Yep. This is...
And
I would actually have to whip out the old coat I got from my old job in order to feel warm again.
So I have one of those.
Yeah.
And it's like really like, it's a good coat. But it's like, that coat is really good for like minus like... How do I put it? It's great for like minus 10 to like 15. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Minus 20, it's like really pushing it.
Yeah.
And then minus 30, it does nothing. And I have an actual winter jacket for that reason.
Ah.
But like that jacket's like, oh, I wear it all the time. It's great. I want to start like putting patches on it. So I want to get like a "Don't Tread on Me" patch.
Oh no. Or you get the snake with the gag gear. Please tread on me.
No.
Please tread on me.
Although that would be accurate to apparently I'm a sub person.
Oh, are you? You just want to get stepped on all the time?
I apparently want to get stepped on.
Oh, well.
I said the realization came was when I told my friends, I was like, I just want a girl who allows me to not be an adult all the time, who will sit there and be like, no, Jeff, you have to, you cannot spend $700 on a PC case.
Oh, I see.
And goes, and then when I go, but honey, it's a piece, it's the greatest piece. She goes, no, Jeff, you're fucking retarded. I want a girl who like will come up to me and be like, no, Jeff, you cannot buy more fucking dice. And this weekend you have to do that thing with your mouth, but better. Josh is like horrified.
Oh boy.
He's like, God damn it, Jeff, stop doing this.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, I have a video going on the next screen of someone playing Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace on the PS1.
What?
It's simply because I was just remembering back in the day playing an old game, and I was like, oh yeah, I played some Star Wars games back, like, of course, like as you do when you're growing up, you just so happen to play a Star Wars game. And
when Star Wars was good,
it was interesting because this is Episode 1. This is the prequels.
We all know the best Star Wars is literally just. We all know the best Star Wars is literally just going to be Battlefront.
Probably, yeah.
I like that. That was the game that really pissed me off that I couldn't get working on my dad's old PC.
Oh,
Yeah,
I do remember. I was gonna say, I do remember back in the day waiting for a computer upgrade to happen just so I could play fucking Half-Life 2 on the computer because I was just so antsy.
So this is how bad my dad was as like as the resident tech guy. My dad, so our house had like 4 computers. We had like Windows 95 for like most of the years, but we had a kid's computer and we had an adult's computer, and the adult's computer was constantly was fine.
Yeah.
It was relatively stable. It ran no problems. The kid's computer was constantly infested with viruses. You would do something on it, it would take a minute.
Yeah.
And so me being a kid, I was like, oh, I want to get Star Wars Battlefront because my friend at the time, let's call him Mac. Okay, Mac. Yeah. Mac and Cheese and I would always play Star Wars Battlefront over at his house on an Xbox. Well, I had a GameCube. So to get Star Wars Battlefront, I had to basically buy a PC copy, which I did. Which ended up being the worst decision I could have made. Because I tried to install it on a PC and you're like do, and it's really it was hard. It was very hard. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is really difficult in order to get working, and I couldn't get it installed, and it basically failed on the install, and I was like, oh. So I go talk to my dad. I'm like, game's not installing. Can I install it on your computer? No, couldn't do that. This is what my dad's solution was. Take it back to GameStop, bitch and complain until they give you a refund. And then the son went and bought Sonic the Shadow the Hedgehog.
Okay.
So I ended up getting one of the worst games at Shadow the Hedgehog. It's not a very good game.
I mean, it's not Sonic 06 bad, but at least it's fine.
It's the game that it was the first game ever I watched on XPlay where they got what was it, a 1 out of 10?
It's not that bad. It's literally not that bad.
I got a 1 out of 5. And I was like, my sister just turns to me and she's just laughing.
Man, XPlay is such now looking back at XPlay, it's like, okay, I remember having fond memories of it, but oh god, there was some baggage on that show. You couldn't quite understand why the fuck they had such baggage. Like, holy.
I mean, XPlay was the show where you watched it, where most of my friends were like, I watch Attack of the Show and this show, and now it's like it's funny because now I watch like Chris Gore on Nerdrotic, and he's like, Gary, you gotta look at this thing. And apparently he had a stroke and shit. And you're like, man,
oh,
fuck.
Huh.
Anyways,
well, my original topic was I remember playing the Star Wars title, but the thing is, I couldn't remember which Star Wars it was. So I'm doing some investigating. And here's the funny thing of why I was remembering the Star Wars title, because it was just glitchy as shit. Like I remember in the first level, because it's episode 1, so you're one of the Jedi and you're stuck on that ship and they're trying to kill you.
Yeah.
And I remember running around on that ship. And I actually cheesed a couple of things in that game. And because I cheesed a couple of things, turns out, I just broke the game. Like, the simple cheesing methods I did. I was like, the game just fucking crashed. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I got to the point where you landed on the planet you're supposed to in the episode 1. There's one with Jar Jar. You start talking to him. And also, this game is infamous because... especially the PlayStation 1 title, because once you got to the jungle planet and then you're talking to Jar Jar, and Jar Jar's like, oh, follow me around, blah, blah, blah. There's one part where it's basically like, trees are falling down because things are starting to blow up and you have to jump over the trees. one of these fucking trees will crash your game just for jumping over the fucking tree. Like, it's so weird. Like, for some reason, the animation of it falling over and you trying to jump over the tree crashes this thing like no tomorrow. Like, it's such a programming oversight. It's like, how did this get out the front door? Like, man.
I'm busy like downloading some asset packs because I'm like trying to participate in the stupid game jam I signed up for. I came up with an idea. Good idea. It's a great idea. The idea. I sent you the game jam, and you were like, "Oh, this is too."
I looked at it and I saw there was a timer, and I thought it started already.
No, it didn't.
Okay,
so it started. It started literally on the Friday, and I'm starting now. The thing is, so what it is it's literally supposed to be. It Takes Two.
Okay.
So my idea is I'm going to make a very simple 3-level platformer. And you know those old Flash games where you had like where the 2-player and you had a kid who used WASD and you had a person who used like the arrow keys?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to make basically a Tetris game where basically you can either help or hinder your friend who's playing a platformer.
All right.
And I think that encompasses the theme very fittingly. So I'm going to make 3 levels. And the first level is basically going to be like very simple, like, hey, do a couple jumps. And then there's going to be like one jump where it's like, hey, this is required to help him. And basically it's just going to be like, here's a piece that like comes in. You can basically like hold the piece off and stuff like that. And you can put like pieces down, kill enemies and stuff like that with the pieces.
Have you ever played the Mario Brothers Wii U?
No.
So, I mean, your idea is a little, I would say, still different enough, but it kind of just reminds me of the Wii U title because you were putting down platforms for your buddies that are trying to do the platforming section of this long levels.
If anything, this is me more likely going to get sued by Tetris because I'm making my own Tetris pieces.
Oh, I see.
But like basically, like it's going to be like, hey, it's a 2-player game. You're doing Tetris shit.
I see.
And if people really like it, I'm going to be like, oh fuck.
Just add another Tetramino on top of that, and then you should be fine.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add like the block.
Although
just the standard block.
I'm pretty sure the word Tetramino means there's 5 blocks, so you might have to just add another block on top of that. Or no, it means 4 or 5 or something. So you just had to add another block on top of that. Make it.
I'm good. I'm good. Just getting sued by Tetris. When they're like, you stole our thing. I'm like, I sold it for free, and this is not at all a Tetris game.
It's not. I'm not saying this is Tetris. I'm saying this is block falling.
I'm saying that this is a platform Tetris game based on Mario. Anyways, sync in 3, 2, 1.